Welcome to today's deep meditation. It's really great to have the word community with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Whether you were actually there for the recent Sunday sermon at Hong Kong Cheil Church, or, maybe you're engaging with this message for the very first time, our mission today is to look at a pretty wild countercultural paradox.
We're anchoring this whole discussion in Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. It says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted."
Which is just, it's such a radical claim, right? Jesus is essentially saying that true, lasting happiness actually requires us to walk directly into the exact pain we usually try to run away from.
Exactly. And, that really hits hard today. Modern society basically tells us to avoid sadness at all costs. Just stay positive, project happiness, keep moving.
Right, just find the silver lining. But I was wondering if we just constantly wear this mask of forced gratitude when we're actually hurting, aren't we just spiritually anesthetizing ourselves?
Oh, absolutely. When you numb the pain, you end up numbing your capacity for genuine joy, too. The sermon at Hong Kong Cheil Church actually shared this really poignant story about that.
Oh, right, the man who missed the funeral.
Yes. So, a man misses his beloved uncle's funeral just to keep up with his daily obligations. He completely suppresses his grief, maintains his routine, goes to work, acts totally normal.
And then what happens? His body basically forces him to stop, right?
Exactly. A couple weeks later, he just becomes physically ill. Because, well, unexpressed sorrow doesn't just vanish, it festers.
Wow. So acknowledging our pain isn't a weakness at all. It's like a spiritual necessity.
It really is. But the sermon went even deeper than just physical grief. Jesus is primarily talking about mourning our own spiritual poverty.
Okay, wait, unpack that a little bit. What does that actually look like?
Well, think about standing in a completely unlit, dark room.
Hmm.
You think it's perfectly clean because, frankly, you just can't see the mess.
Right. Ignorance is bliss.
Right. But then God's grace draws near, and it acts like this blinding light suddenly switching on. Suddenly you see all the dust.
Oh, wow. You see the hidden pride, the hypocrisy, all those flaws you thought you had, so cleverly tucked away.
Exactly.
That totally reminds me of Peter in Luke chapter 5, verse 8. Like when he finally realizes exactly who Jesus is, he doesn't brag about his faith or his fishing skills at all.
No, not at all. He basically falls down and says, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man."
Right. He suddenly sees his own mess in the light of who Jesus is.
And that sudden realization plunges us into what the sermon beautifully called the forest of mourning.
The forest of mourning. I like that.
Yeah, it's a forest is easy to get lost in, right? It's dark, it's dense.
Yeah.
Confronting your own brokenness feels exactly like that. It's
Oh, yeah.
incredibly disorienting and painful.
But you have to navigate through those thick woods to find the clearing. Why is that, though? Why does God require us to wander through that discomfort to get the comfort?
Because the mourning drops your armor. You just can't be comforted if you're pretending you don't hurt. The vulnerability itself is the mechanism for the healing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, honest grief over our own flaws clears out the ego, which creates the actual space for God to embrace us.
But if we just stop at realizing our own flaws and getting our own personal comfort, isn't that just a different kind of self-obsession? How does this dark room analogy apply when we walk outside into the world?
That is the critical pivot the sermon makes. It references Lamentations chapter 1, verses 21 and 22. It's his profound cry over a broken, suffering city.
Right.
A spiritually mature community doesn't just stay stuck in its own private forest of self-reflection. It actively looks at the secular world,
Yeah.
a world that often just walks right past suffering and chooses to mourn the brokenness of its neighbors.
So for the word community at Hong Kong Child Church, stepping into the gap means sharing in God's tears for the world.
Yes, exactly. And the notes mention this shared mourning as the absolute starting point for being salt and light.
Wait, break down that salt and light part really quick. How does crying over a city act as salt or light?
Well, think about what salt does. It acts as a preservative against decay. So when a community collectively mourns injustice or suffering, their empathy acts as salt, preserving society against the decay of apathy.
Oh, wow. And the light part exposes what's hidden.
You got it. By publicly grieving the brokenness of the world, you illuminate the pain that others are trying to ignore. It paves the way for actual structural healing.
That makes so much sense. You really can't heal a community's pain if you refuse to actually feel it with them.
You really can't. You don't get the resurrection without the cross. Avoiding the pain only delays the comfort. True heavenly joy is always waiting on the other side of honest mourning.
So good. Well, as we wrap up this deep meditation, we want to leave the word community with a final question. to really sit with this week.
Yeah, we'd love for you to reflect deeply on this.
Think about your own life. What is a hidden sorrow or maybe a painful spiritual truth about yourself that you have been actively avoiding? And how might finally allowing yourself to mourn it before God become the very key to your true healing?